Animation challenges live action.
As for you, Valiant, step out of line and we'll hang you and your laundry out to dry.
It's a big statement to start off with, but hear me out here. Live action is all about capturing a reality. The reality we understand, and it allows us to escape for 90 or more minutes.
I've been working nights. And?
We can watch it from afar, imagine traveling to these exotic locations or witnessing parts of these stories even closer to our homes. Though, after a while, even live action wasn't enough. We have a fascination of widening reality into fantasy. Animation doesn't have to exist like this. It doesn't have to be recognizable. It has the power to transcend form. But doing this can sacrifice a connection with the audience. So filmmakers choose to tell a story through animation. They seek to recreate what is authentic and anchor the animation in that world. This has become its predominant style. Animators study movement and form and apply it to their drawings, so we associate meaning to them. Like a man walking, a suspicious dog, or even a villain's heart breaking.
Are not a thing. I don't need you. I don't need anyone.
The reason why I'm explaining this is we appreciate these moments in animation more because we are aware of their study and recreation. We're aware of their artificiality. But there are animators who take this so much further. Enter Isao Takahata. He's the other side of Studio Ghibli. And although he moves at a snail's pace putting out work, he consistently shows his understanding of the potential of animation fully. Maureen Furness indicated that animation functions within a continuum between mimesis and abstraction. Essentially, the reality of what is observed and how it feels. Mimesis represents the minutiae of detail observed and presented to us. Motion, dialogue, scenery. It's what we always seem to comment on in animation. But abstraction, I think, is where the true potential of animation lies, where the line moves away from just the observed, exploring what we can't explain but all understand. It's a metaphor of feeling through motion. Takahata explores this line in a phenomenal way. It's never just exaggerated features or action. The world is explored, and then feeling is manifested through his metaphors. His aim is for us to recall the reality within the drawings, rather than thinking the drawings themselves are real.
その現実の映像を実写の映像を見てもですね、その中で丁寧に観察なんかしてないと思うんですよ、見る人は。ところがアニメーションにするとですね、観察させられちゃう。書き起こしてるからね。その現実よりはもっとこのなんていうかな、くっきりと浮き上がるんですね。その浮かび上がるんですよ、やってることが。
So let's start with his observations on dialogue and motion. On Only Yesterday, he wanted to capture the voice actor's performance and then model the animated characters on this. He wanted to record their lines together and encourage the imperfections of dialogue with thoughtful pauses and lip smacks. As Takahata admits, the initial read-throughs and recording of dialogue actually help him conceptualize the character's design from the actor's performance. He also recorded their performance on video and allowed the animators to incorporate this into the finished work. While this wasn't anything new in animation, it allowed them to lend more than a voice to the character, rather than having their physical performance wasted. And today we can see this technique used more and more, and not just in animation.
My teeth are swords. My claws are spears.
But even video games.
That was close. Thanks for the heroics and all.
But as always with Takahata, he pushed it forward. We could see the altered facial shape through drawing proper muscle and bone definition in order to illustrate a small daily constant, a broad smile. Even the topics of conversation were innocent, real. They weren't hyper-dramatized. He explores the precise emotions of characters and the visual expression to a detail he didn't think he could control in live action. He feels the same about their motion. Takahata's commitment to correct movement is staggering. I think his commitment to timing actually challenges our passive entertainment. For example, this policeman's bike bumping as he's forced to readjust his balance, or these kids dancing in a circle with one child not sure what to do and rather stands there, picking his nose. It breaks the mold, and even the smallest movement is studied to perfection. Like Setsuko being easily distracted and dancing in short bursts, or how delicately Sita feeds Setsuko watermelon. The smallest motion is correct to a natural gesture, such as twisting a light bulb before removing it or rolling up a car window in traffic. Takahata is unrelenting in his detail. Here, in the tale of the Princess Kaguya, he adjusts just 6 frames so her motion is more natural and she returns a bow to the ladies.
ほんのわずか。しかし、わずかな動きの違いの積み重ねが、キャラクターに生々しさを与える。
Actually, in Grave of the Fireflies, Takahata wasn't happy with how easily Sita cuts the watermelon. So here in Kaguya, he got the animators to bring in knives and study specifically how the blade enters the fruit.
Takahata がこだわったのは、包丁の刃の当て方と瓜に包丁が入ってゆくスピード。人間の動きの機微を捉え、描写する。
There is an integrity Takahata imparts into every moment of every scene. But then he takes it that step further. He focuses on what they're feeling too, and moves that continuum into abstraction. And the most interesting part of this is, he lets the scenes play out naturally, as if they were actually happening. In this scene in The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, she feels trapped by all these men, discussing her future as she watches on. She wants to escape. And here's how Takahata depicted it. She even appears to escape the artist's control momentarily, almost becoming real in her flurried escape. In Only Yesterday, as Taiko looks back on her 10-year-old memories, notice how the images fade toward the edges, highlighting the fuzzy nature of remembered details. And he took it even further with My Neighbors the Yamadas and decided to completely remove backgrounds in their daily events and allows us to focus on the family. He is convinced it was unnecessary to draw the scrupulous detail of the everyday world that everyone knows. Rather, he felt by omitting this, it made the characters move with a greater reality. But sometimes he sits back and does the opposite. Here, in Grave of the Fireflies, we watch Setsuko and her escape into the fantasy realm. But he refuses to let us in. And instead we painstakingly observe from the outside, hitting us with the emotional impact of our tragic reality. Even Mr. Yamada confronting the biker gang, immediately the visual style is changed from its caricatured exterior to a more realistic depiction. I think it removes the safety felt through the confines of home and family, and instead we are hit with the danger of the scene. I think it's important to note that Takahata doesn't draw. Well, he may occasionally draw storyboards, but he generally relies on others to create his vision. And I think this may be the key ingredient to his search for reality. As an observer, he can note the small details that make a moment real, and then can escape into his own mind to articulate how something feels and how that might look. It's a common point that people explain his films don't actually need to be animated, but I think they couldn't exist in any other form. Takahata understands that reality is a shared and individual experience all at once, so he doesn't need to explain when he wants to highlight an emotion. Rather, he lets us experience it with the protagonist. And I think this is one of the true powers of animation. So when I say that animation challenges live action, what I mean is it's not locked down by the rules we are grounded with in the real world. So it can actually take it further and explore things to a greater depth. It doesn't need to explain its fluctuation between what we observe and what we feel. It can straddle both lines at once.